aim is to understand the reality of the world, the anicca, dukkha and anatta nature of the world, eliminating all the sansaric suffering, ultimately attaining the supreme bliss of Nibbana. And we have done various Dhamma discussions in this forum, and we have done, I think, more than 25 discussions so far. And during this journey, we have understood many things about the world, about the anicca, dukkha, and anatta nature of the world. And now, what we are doing is we are trying to sort out the things that we don't understand, so that our understanding is solid and comprehensive. So, two or three of you have already sent me questions about the things in Dhamma that you have, and we are going to have a discussion based on those questions you have already submitted, and any questions you might be submitting during the discussion as well. So before starting that, let us take this moment to remind ourselves that this Dhamma discussion is not a coincidence, not something that happened due to possibility. This is in fact because of our own doings in the past. We have created causes, we have created meritorious power in our past lives, and we have created the energy that is needed for this moment to occur. All the meritorious power that we have gathered during our past existences, doing wholesome deeds towards Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, may agglomerate together, creating the perfect environment for us to understand the supreme Dhamma, understand the reality of the world, to attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Accept this blessing with an sadhukara.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
And also, just like we have done many things for this instance to occur, we might have done things that is not favorable for this Dhamma discussion, like 10 immoral actions, 10 unwholesome deeds, especially towards Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. If we have done those kinds of things without our understanding about the nobleness of Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, let us seek forgiveness. By forgiveness in Arya discipline, we mean we understand that we have done something wrong, and we acknowledge our faults, and we promise ourselves in front of Supreme Buddha that we are not going to do those kind of wrong things again. With that determination in your mind, accept this with a sadhukara.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Okay, for today's discussion, I think we'll go with the order of questions, from the order that I have received these questions. So first question we have got is, I'll read the question and we'll go to the discussion afterwards. Theruvan Saranai Thero, if you don't mind, I'd like to ask you about Gandhabba in Paticca Samuppada process. I have heard the term Patisandhi means the creation of a new Hadevattu someday. So I thought Vijnana in Upati Paticca Samuppada is the Patisandhi Vijnana. and also means the appearance of new bhava. With considering that, I am curious about Patisandhi Vijnana state in Paticca Samuppada can be considered as the appearance of a new Gandhabba. That is the question which has been submitted here. So before starting, before giving the straight answer to the question, we'll go back to what we have discussed so far, especially about Paticca Samuppada and the four bodies that we get during when we are born as a human or another sentient being. So for that, I'll use the whiteboard function, so it will be easier. So here I write the Paticca Samuppada first. Now this is the Paticca Samuppada. So like we have discussed before, this Jathi here can be said for a moment. That means this moment where the causes are aligned, creating a Jathi. For example, so let's say this person at this moment thinks like a animal. Let's say he becomes very angry and his mind is like a tiger. So angry mindset. So even though this person is a human, at that point in his life, that person has become a person full of dvesha. So if that is the case, then at that point, then what we need to understand here, our life is full of these moments. In other words, if we become a human, that human starting from age 0 to 100 years, why do we call this a human? Because we can see a consistent shape of a human throughout the 100 years. True that at the birth you are small, at 100 years you become older, fragile, and your skin is not like before. Those, if you just compare the two ends, this end and this end, that means when you are born and if you compare the birth and death, the two individuals at that moment, you'd see that there's a big difference. You can't even identify that it is the same person. But if you go through this time frame from the birth to the death, you would see that it is the same person that became older and that became a person or a dead body at the end. So it is this uniform growth that you see gives the idea that this person is one big unit. So this Jathi as a human is actually, when you consider this whole thing, so you are applying this for 100 years. Yes, you can do that. So you can apply it for 100 years, but in real, when we use this Paticca Samuppada, especially Idapacheta Paticca, that is what we use for elimination of Raga Dvesha Moha. We consider these small moments which creates the whole one big unit. So here you might have been a virtuous person. Let's say here you might be an angry person. Here you might be a person full of raga, and another moment you might be a person of dvesha. You might have neutral moments, and all these compile together to create this one human being, or one big unit of who has lived 100 years. So we are applying this to this moment. So here, if we apply to the last moment where you die, so death is a very very important occasion, because at death you don't have any say where you go, what type of a person or what type of a sentient being you would become. So here, if let's say you get, your eyes are closed, ears are closed, nose, tongue, body all gone, but your mind is working, and you get a thought, oh, here Dhamma, and this is Mana. Mana receives a Dhamma, and that Dhamma is favoring hell. So you see something like you are very cold, you feel very cold. So you feel in your mind you feel very shivery, cold, and at the in a distance you see a what do you call a fire. When you see a fire, and when you are cold, when you feel cold, your natural response is you would get attached to that fire, and you would go towards that fire. And when you go there, you are not cold anymore, but you have arrived your destination, which is full of fire for thousands and thousands of years. So at this moment, you'd when this happens, when the last chitta, when the last mind occurs, at that moment you die, and you will be born again. Though we called it the same thing, you know that it is not the same thing. It is the causes creating effects. So you have to remember the story of the oil lamp. So here, flame 1 is created of these causes: oxygen and the fuel and the relevant temperature creates these are the causes. Simply, these are the causes creating flame 1. Oxygen becomes carbon dioxide, will get destroyed, and causes are no more. So the flame 1 also dies, creating flame 2. Why? Because the next oxygen atom comes, next fuel molecule comes, and the chemical reaction creates an exothermic reaction, giving out energy, which is flame 2. And flame 2 also will be gone because it becomes carbon dioxide, and the fuel molecule will be gone when the chemical reaction happens. So so again the flame 3 would come, and this would go on. So it is just like that. This person's life is like that. So for 100 years there was a lamp, oil lamp, and this flame was this person's life. So it had 100 years. This flame was on. The fuel was there for 100 years, and the supply was there. Carbon dioxide, oxygen is compared to food. Fuel is compared to karmic energy. So this wick is compared to your body, its physical body. The physical body should work, and the karmic energy should go through your physical body, and oxygen should come. Otherwise, the physical body would die. Oxygen and other food that is needed to maintain this physical body, and then you would see a living being. That is the flame that you see. So this flame is also not constant, but you see one big unit or one big flame that lasts for 2 hours, just like you see a person who lasts for 100 years. So you are applying this Paticca Samuppada for these individual instances. The instance when you got angry, the instance when you got let's say happy, and the instance when you understood Dhamma. Those are various instances different from one another. But since the body which is associated with this mindset seems to be similar, these flames also seems to be similar. That's why you get deceived by it, by the shape, by the color, by the brightness. It's all the same, but it's different when you see from your wisdom. It's the same. You see the same height, you see the same body composition, you see the same shape, but it's different. So when we are trying to say that somebody dies and is born again, it is we use it because there's no other way to say it. But in reality, you would know that a person cannot last even a second. It's the same Nama-rupa generation that is created, the same cause and effect pattern that is created, and it is connected with the same memory. That means the Nama-gottha. So that is why we feel like it's the same person, because we are retrieving data from the same Nama-gottha. Nama-gottha means the memory. So say we are retrieving data from the same memory, then we feel like it's the same single one big unit. So when you understand that this is person number 1, this is person number 2, this is person number 3, and for 100 years there were millions and billions of individuals. Yes, they are connected in a way, but you cannot have any ownership on who owns or who you should call me, because me one goes, me one dies, and me number 2 comes, it also dies, and now also it is dying. If it is as one big unit, you would not be able to talk, you would not be able to change posture, you would not be able to go do anything. So this is important. Highlighting this point is very important to answer that question you have posted. So when somebody dies, what happens is you see this person, this is the last one, right? This is the last product that is created, or last flame. And this is the Paticca Samuppada that goes at that last second, last moment. We cannot say it's a second, because second is a very big time, long time. when you compare it with the Chittakshana. So this happens in a Chittaviti. In the same Chittaviti, you die and you are born again. So at that point, avidya would be, you would be creating vinyana through avidya. You know that this is the clay and this is the item that you create. It can be a human, it can be a whatever the animal you like, animal or a preta or a hellish animal, or we call it nira satta, whatever it is, created at that point, at the last Paticca Samuppada. So this is a bowl of clay, and this is the action of using clay. So you use your hands and you are carving a whatever pot or a plate or whatever it is, or a cup. Now let's say you created a cup, and this is the shape of the cup, and you are at that moment you create a Jathi at the end. You get, let's say this is a dog, so you had the dog avidya, and you did with that you created a dog vinyana, and that is a patisandhi vinyana at that point, because it is we can call that a patisandhi vinyana because it is the first one that is created. So patisandhi vinyana, and the nama rupa, now this is a different Paticca Nama rupa is created accordingly. Nama means the shape, and rupa means the physical form of it. So you are creating a dog, shape of a dog, and the physically it is created. Now this is a different kind of a Paticca. This is not what you have learned so far. So salayatana, dog eyes, dog ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind would be created. And what you would be getting is dog touch, and the dog vedana, or the dog feeling, and the dog tanha, dog upadana, dog bhava, and the dog jati would be created at that point. But here you see a dog 1 and dog 2, right? So here also there was a human generation of you saw it as a big one big unit, but that is also a series of events that happened. From here the series changed to a dog. You can distinguish these two because you can see it with your eye. You can see it with your eye, but it has been happening all this time, and it is happening afterwards as well. But since this form changed so much, if you are able to, if you have these various jnanas, wisdoms that can, like Pubbe Nivasanusati jnana, or the ability to see past lives, you would see that this person became a dog. If you had that wrong vision that it is the same one big unit, you'd think that something in this body just went here and started this. And you would see that as the soul. And now the concept of soul comes because you are thinking it as a one big unit. But when you see that it is a cause and effect thing, a result coming because of causes getting aligned together at the moment, you would see that it is the thing, what you understand, what you see with your eyes, and what you concluded after seeing with your eyes is not right. So after understanding this bit, I think you understand how this thing happens. Now you would need to understand about Gandhabba as well. So then only the whole picture would be completed. Now we discussed about the 4 bodies. First body, second body, third body, and fourth body. And we discussed the fourth body has 2 parts, the fine body and the, we can say, cross body, or the solid one, solid body. So here, there are 7 dasaka kalapas, including the Hadevastu. Hadevastu is actually Chakku, so Chakku dasaka, Sota dasaka, Gana dasaka, Jiva dasaka, Kaya dasaka, Bhava dasaka, Vatu dasaka, and Vastu dasaka. So there are 7. So this is the Vastu dasaka, is called the Hadevastu. And as soon as this is created, this Hadevastu start creating. Now we created a dog. So dog mindset. So you would start to create just like this flame. Now this is a dog 1, dog 2 that is being created. So this dog, the second body is the mental body of a dog would be created. Now you get the mental body of a dog. And then since this dog 1 is gone, then dog 2 is gone, and this repeats, the same thing repeats. The broken parts, or the what do you call, the remnants, or we can say the when the viparinama happens, the dead particles, or dead components of this mental body would be accumulated around this mental body, and that is called the third body, which is seasonal body if you translate it into English, but it is called Rituja body. So after that only this fine body is created, and that fine body is, this is the blueprint now that is created. The mental body and the other all the 3 bodies creates the blueprint, or we can say the magnetic body is created. Now a magnetic body is created, and this is still not Gandhabba, right? So what happens, this magnetic body is then the apo tejo vayo patavi, vayo and patavi comes and binds to this, creating a fine body. Now that is this is called Gandhabba. Now a Gandhabba is created. Now this Gandhabba is what goes and binds to the womb of a female dog. And then when this binds, the female dog at the correct time has a ovum, and when it gets fertilized, or when the zygote is being created, so this is the zygote, and this body, or the fourth body, starts to shrink. At that point, this person or this dog does not have any say in where or what womb or what mother he owns, just like us having no say which mother or which parent we are having. It is decided by karmic energy. So at the point when the correct womb is ready for the dog, this dog's mental body starts shrinking. This dog's Gandhabba body starts shrinking, and it was originally like this, just like a dog. the dog picture was there. If you had your third eye opened, you would see dogs in their Gandhabba form, just like a dog. No difference. The only difference is they don't have solid bodies. They only have fine bodies. So at the point when the attachment happens to the zygote, this dog forgets about its dog form and it starts shrinking, and it shrink until it is similar with the shape of the zygote. As soon as it gets similar, the both gets attached together, creating the first, fourth solid body. And it has the blueprint of it, which it had before. So the nutrients coming from the mother's womb would create the same exact copy that is there that was there in the Gandhabba. And you would see a puppy in few months. So that is the solid person, solid animal. And before that, the fine body is the Gandhabba. Now you would see the Patisandhi Vijnana started before that. Maybe all three bodies or all four bodies might only take few fractions of a second. But initially, the Vastu Rupa or the seven dasakas were created. And as soon as the dasaka was created, especially the Vastu dasaka would create the mental body, or the mind would start to function, and this mind would create the next body. And as soon as it is created, it gets old, creating layers and layers of dead or destroyed mental components. There's no correct terminology to say these things. Let's say like this: gather around your original body, which is already created, first body and second body, creating the third body as well. And then the fine components of Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Patavi. So Gandhabba, there's a nirukti or etymology of Gandhabba is Gandha means smell. Gandhabba means dependent on smell. So, there are Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Patavi in the aerosol form. So this aerosol, Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Patavi is what feeds this third body, creating the fourth body, Gandhabba body. That's why they always rely on the Sugati. There are two types of Gandhabba when it comes to humans: Sugati Gandhabba and Dugati Gandhabba. Dugati Gandhabba are the Gandhabba that has less meritorious power, mostly in the lower part, and the Sugati Gandhabba are the individuals who have higher levels of meritorious power. And based on this meritorious power, if they are Sugati Gandhabba, they are dependent on the smells of flowers, trees, then roots, barks, and different kinds of good smells. And if they are Dugati Gandhabba, they are dependent on the smell of feces, smell of urine, smell of phlegm, these kinds of things. So they are dependent on these things, and their body is created and maintained on these things. Because Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Patavi, if you take it, you need the maintenance of this. And when you get attached to a mother or a physical body, and when you are regenerating you are developing your fourth solid body, then that body would need hard solid food. So that's the difference. So I hope you understand how the Patisandhi Vijnana and Gandhabba are two different things. Gandhabba is the fourth layer, which is a very later stage. It is a later stage and a very cross stage, not the fine stage. And the finest you can go, one of the finest, which is related with the second body, is this Vastu Rupa, creating the mental body. And that is when the Vastu Dasaka starts to create the mind. It is the point where the Patisandhi Vijnana occurs. So it is actually well explained, not here in the Paticca Samuppada, but in the what do you call this Chitta Viti, how the person or a person dies and is born again. So here there's this, if you know about Chitta Viti, we haven't discussed as I remember, there's this Bhavanga Chitta, and in the last Chitta Viti, there's this Bhavanga, Atita Bhavanga, Bhavanga Chalana, Bhavanga Upachedaka, then Panchadra Varjana, then Mano Vijnana would come, then Santirana Sampatichana Vottapana, and there would be 7 javanas. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And here one would die and be born again. Then 2 Tadarambanas, and here from here you would be, if the dog Sankharas were done, and if the person became a dog, then from here onwards the Bhavanga Chitta would be of a dog, and here it was human. So these are actually very complicated things that is not very needed for our understanding, because it is good to focus on these things, but initially we should go from the most important thing next to the extra things. Most important thing is understanding the anicca dukkha anatta nature, so that we are free from this samsaric suffering, and then we can understand and we can experiment and we can dig deep into these very interesting topics that has been discussed by Supreme Buddha, and it would indeed help our Magga or Aryatanga Magga as well, because it would help uplift our the Shraddha Indriya, Shraddha Bala, see the greatness and the wisdom of Supreme Buddha. It would help, yeah, but we should go from one end to other end without skipping the really important parts, which is understanding anicca dukkha anatta. So I hope you understand the concept. It is not that from human you just became a dog. It is just you can see that different shift very clearly with your eyes. That is why we are talking about a Patisandhi Vijnana. But in reality, if you think with wisdom, every mindset that comes one after another is a Patisandhi Vijnana, because this is no more when this occurs. This is no more when this occurs. This is no more when this occurs. And you can see this shift very clearly. That's why you think, oh, I am dead now, and I became a dog. I became a god, or whatever. But this idea of a one big unit lasting is actually avidya. It's a version of avidya, which you need to understand that it is wrong, and that it is the viparinama of things that makes this world possible. Otherwise, we would not be able to open our mouths to say things, because closed mouth would not be able to open if this body was not destroyed or deteriorated or subjected to viparinama. You would not be able to open your mouth. The open mouth would not be able to close if the opened body is not deteriorated or subjected to viparinama. So it goes on. So what we are doing right now, how the waterfalls work from the water coming down from the higher levels is also due to viparinama. Raining is also due to viparinama. Wind blowing, sun moving, so everything is due to viparinama. That is why there's no viparinama that happens at the moment, at this moment. There's no world, there's no avidya, nothing, because that kind of a world cannot last, because we would not be born to that kind of a world, because there's no viparinama, and we would not be able to exit that kind of a world because there's no viparinama. But it's not the case. Viparinama is a true characteristic of this world, of this universe, and we know that. So with that understanding, you should focus more on this deceiving nature of our minds. Our minds always get to conclusions based on 5 senses, and you have to use the 6th sense or wisdom and see through the wrong conclusions. So I hope you understand. I did not go to many details because I hope this much might be enough for the understanding. And if you have any questions regarding this discussion we had, any unclear parts that needs clarification, the time is for your.
There is a question posted in connection to the discussion.
Yes.
It says that the new creation of Patisandhi Vijnana is also phenomenon as sort of new Jathi. Is it correct? Is the question.
The new creation of Patisandhi Vijnana is also phenomenon as showed. Now, I'll have to emphasize again about this thing. Wait. So here, as I discussed the Paticca Samuppada before, so it goes like avidya and ends in Jathi, right? So this is the Paticca Samuppada. And we discussed about this person who lives for 100 years. And we'll get this age where he is 20 years to 30 years. And we'll get 1 day out of that. 1 day, right? So in this one single day, let's see how the day is created. He sleeps for 6 hours and wakes up, and let's say he walks for another 1 hour and goes to work 6 hours, no, 8 hours, and comes home, plays video games, and then and becomes angry with someone because the things that he wanted was not happening. So angry for 10 minutes. And so here there's raga, here there's dvesha, and also there's 2 hours of listening to Dhamma as well. 2 hours. So if you add this up, let's say it's all 24 hours. Might not, but let's say it adds up to 24 hours. So here, this you can say, now let's take this, the moment he got angry, and this is, you can say, angry Jathi, right? Angry Jathi here for 10 minutes. This Paticca, you are writing a Paticca for this 10 minutes. Again, you are writing a Paticca for this, let's say this is for 2 hours. playing games for 2 hours. So you are, and again, Jathi, playing games. And we can say Raga Jathi, Jathi of playing games, if you want to be more specific. And this here, listening to Dhamma, and it is also a Jathi that is created. And for this 2 hours, we write another Paticca. And if you write different Paticca for everything, then you would get different Paticca for one day. But there are similar characteristics that lasted for one day. For the whole one day, he was a human. He was a person. So you can write another Paticca for the day, only for the whole day as a human. Just like that, you can do the Paticca depending on various characteristics that last for different time periods. If you want to write it for a moment, for a second, for an hour, for a day, for a week, whatever it is, you can do that. If the person was meditating for 1 week without doing anything else, then you can write it for 1 week. Because that Jathi, true that this Jathi is created at that moment. For 10 minutes, he was angry. So the one Jathi after another, it was all angry Jathi. So you combined all these things and said 10 minutes of angry Jathi, right? So just like the person here, so it's the same human Jathi for 100 years, and you adds up all these because it's the same Jathi and say 100 years of human Jathi. And you can write a Paticca Samuppada, a common one, for all the 100 years because it has the same characteristic. It's the same for the 10 minutes of anger. It's the same for the 2 hours of playing games. It's the same for the whole day as a human. If there's another characteristic that lasted for the whole single day, you can write that as well. So this Paticca business is very very flexible. It's not that you have to write it in this specific form. You can apply it to your day-to-day activities. You can apply it to the moment. Now I got angry, and it did not last for even 1 second because I was mindful about it, and I understood that it is not what I want, and I started contemplating on Dhamma. So it only lasted for a few seconds, but for that few seconds, these were the Paticca Samuppadas that were created. Dvesa Jathi was created. So it is like that. It is how this Paticca Samuppada works. So new creation of Patisandhi Vijnana also, that new creation of Patisandhi Vijnana is also phenomenon as sort of new Jathi. Yes, it is also a new Jathi. And since it was something, let's say the dog, let's take the same example, dog can live 12 years. Dog will live 12 years. So this Paticandhi Vijnana or Jathi, it is a Jathi that is created at the moment. At the moment when the human form is gone and a dog form is created. At this point, this Paticandhi Vijnana is created, and it is a Jathi. And the Jathi with the Vijnana is called the new Jathi. So this Jathi at the end, this Jathi now would last, the same form of this Jathi would last for 12 years. Now you can apply that to that as well and say that this dog Jathi, which is lasting for 12 years. So it is, I hope now it is clear about, I think what I understood from that question, I answered to the things what I understood from the question as it has written. I hope you understand the question, answer. Is there any questions? Any more questions?
Thero, there is a follow-up question there. Do you want to wait to see whether the previous question is clear, or there's another question from Namo referring to Viparinama?
Yes, yes, I will go on, and if there's another question or update to that last question, then we'll move back and answer that. Thero, this is a question of the nature of Viparinama. It means the world has a movie-like changing nature, but we hope some pleasure that like has the nature like picture caused by our delusion. It means the world has a movie-like nature. I think by movie-like nature, you are meaning the film roll that is moving in a very high speed, so that we see different planes of pictures. When it is moving in a very high speed, we see a instead of a still picture, we see moving pictures, and that's why we call it a movie. I hope that's what you are referring to here. But we hope some pleasure that we like has the nature like picture by our delusion. I think what I understand from this question, I'll answer what I understand. So here you are saying that we are dragging, or we are attaching to some of that picture. So I'll move back to the canvas. So here we are, let's say this is the film roll. So there are pictures here, and when it goes this way, and there's this light source, and you see a picture, and it is not a still picture because this is moving, and there's a roll of still pictures, and there's another roll that is and this roll moves this way, or reel moves this way, and due to the light source, you see a moving picture on the screen. And this is what actually happens to us in this world. We see a moving picture, but you cannot stop it. That's the problem. And as soon as you see a good picture here, you attach. But that attachment itself is suffering because this goes on. But you attach to the old picture. For example, some two people, a couple, marries because they are also going through this phenomenon or characteristic of this universe. So they like the person who they saw before marriage, before they decided that they want to marry. So they like this person a lot, the person who they decided to marry. But after some time, let's say 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is, they get divorced. Why? Because they like the person who was even before the marriage, or maybe few weeks or few years after the marriage, but not the person right now. It's vice versa. It happens to both parties, and they start to hate each other. But if the same picture was there, you would want it forever, but you cannot have it. You see, you see this good person, good looking, good mannered, nice person in one instance, and you want to hold on to that person, and that is the attachment. But you see, this is a moving movie. This is a movie. You can see that it is a movie. So it goes. So this person who is good, well mannered, good looking, can next second become angry, agitated, bad tempered person. Now you don't want to attach to this person, but what you get through your visual inputs or from your five senses is wrong. Or you read it with avidya, and you see, I like this person, but now that person is giving me headaches, problems, suffering. In reality, this person is no longer there. This person is a new person, angry person. That would also not be there in a second. And again, that person would be a very nice, calm, and quiet person. So you cannot get a attachment here and a conflicting or a rage or malicious mindset or anger or whatever the negative or the opposite of raga. We call it dvesha. You cannot have a dvesha mindset here and a raga mindset here because it is a movie, moves. So it is this is what you need to understand. So that's why people after 10, 20 years, they divorce. But their vows weren't like that. They decided that death do us apart. But they could not, because you have already, or you are always decided these kinds of, or you have already gone to conclusions based on what you see, what you hear, what you feel, based on five senses, based on avidya. So when you do that with avidya, you cannot have a happy ending. Instead, you might end up with suffering. You always end up with suffering because it can be minor sufferings. Yes, you know, all the people don't end up in divorce. For some people, the dukkha is more than the others because of their past karmic energy. So for some people, it would be minor disappointments, minor sufferings, and for others, it would be bigger sufferings. And this is this is true for all the sentient beings, because everybody experiences this viparinama nature. I hope that is what I understood with the question. I think that is what you meant by the question. If not, please rephrase or rephrase the question so that we get a better idea. Okay. I hope the Mr. Song Hyun Kim's problem also was solved. Am I right?
I am assuming that may have been addressed, Thero. There is no response at the moment. So if you wish, you can proceed to the, you said you have...
Yes, I have another question.
I think the acknowledgement is there, Thero. I think they'll re-listen to the sermon to
Yes,
get the question.
sure. So don't be discouraged to ask another question about the same thing, because we know that everybody is having difficulties with this language problem. So I am more than happy to explain it to you again. So don't feel discouraged to ask the questions about the same thing again and again. It's okay, because it is how we can exceed this stage of understand or the comprehension or this stage of problems. So we are passing passing this stage. We are depending on questions and trying to clean our understanding or purify our understanding, so that few of you or many of you would attain would open your eyes of wisdom. So if that happens, then you have your own set of people who can speak your own native language, who can explain this to your own native people. So that is the goal. So I'm just a messenger trying to make that link. So if we can somehow do it, everybody would get benefited from that. So don't feel discouraged to ask more questions about the same, even about the same thing. We'll try to answer somehow. We'll try to answer it some way, and we'll try to overcome that challenge. So I'll go to the next question. I have a question for you. This question I have had for years. It's impossible for me to understand everything perfectly, but I am asking because I want to understand the general concept of terminology correctly. Sankhara is clearly known as belonging to the mind. Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankhara Vijnana. Suddenly, the physical movement of going to get water is defined as Kaya Sankhara. I didn't quite understand. It is difficult to understand that movements made by muscles are a part of the mind. The action of going to get water is thought to be the result of the mind. Kaya Sankhara equals mind. Then Kaya Sankhara not equals physical movement resulting from the mind. So speaking within the mind, Vachi Sankhara is also similar. Last Thursday sermon, you and your text from WhatsApp, I understand your teaching, but I would like to know more exactly this part. So in the past, as a result, I thought that Sankhara, which is intention, was more consistent with mental concept. Okay, so that was the question. So we'll again go back to the canvas and I'll try to understand what we have discussed last week. And based on the discussion of the last week, we'll try to build upon that. Sorry about that. So Sankhara. Now we went to depth about Sankhara last week. So, but since this is aided with visual presentation, I think it would be easier to understand this way. So there are two sections here. One is for arihats, only for arihats, and the other one is for lay people and sakers. Sakers means the Aryas who has still not become Arihat, but in the pathway. So Kaya Sankhara Vachi Sankhara and Mano Sankhara. So here, Kaya Sankhara, Aswasa Praswasa, Asasa and Passasa. And we discussed this last week. Vachi Sankhara, Vitakka Vichara. Vitakka Vichara. And Mano Sankhara is feeling and consciousness. Consciousness about feeling is better. So here, there's this one is only for Arihats. And this one is Kaya Sanchetana. Kaya Sanchetana. Kaya Sankhara. Vachi Sanchetana. Vachi Sankhara. Then Mano Sanchetana. Mano Sankhara. So these are for people who has not become, or individuals who has not become Arihat. And individuals who or the individuals who has not become Arihat also have these things as well. But when it comes to an Arihat, it is only these. Arihats only have this pattern. Lay people and Aryas who has not become Arihat has both of these. That would be the better explanation. So, what is Sankhara? And now there was explaining about this Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankhara Vijnana. Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankhara Vijnana. So again, I would like to remind you about a very important point that I had explained before. It is, you cannot put these words into a definition, or you cannot restrict these words, the understanding about these words into boxes. That means Sankhara in some places have some meanings, in different places, in other places have other meanings. For example, if you go for this Kaya Sankhara, Vachi Sankhara, Mano Sankhara, which is explained that now this classification is for Abhidhamma. So this is the classification which is used in Abhidhamma, which covers everything. But depending on the explanation, depending on the part we are focusing on, the idea of Sankhara also changes. That's why it is very hard to understand or comprehend the Tripitaka or Pali Canon without Artha Dhamma Nirukti Patibhana wisdoms. Because if you try to do that without those wisdoms, you at least should have a guidance of somebody who has had Artha Dhamma Nirukti Patibhana wisdoms. Otherwise, you'd know where to put what, because it is the same words that are used in most cases and having different meanings for the same word. Depending on the sutra, depending on the occasion, depending on the context, you have to decide what meaning you should follow. For example, here are the 10 immoral actions: 3 from body, 4 from using your words, and 3 using your mind. So here, these 3, what killing and or hurting, and then stealing, and the third one is having unethical relationships, are considered the immoral actions that are done using your body. And lying, slandering, using harsh words, meaningless words is things that you are done with your words. And these abhijja, domanassa, mithya-ditti, mischievous or greedy nature, or jealousy also comes under this, and then there's this malicious nature, or anger, rage, everything is a domanassa is a umbrella term for everything. And then the third one is wrong and distorted views, and those are said to be done from your mind. So mind or thoughts, we can say. So thoughts, words, and actions using body. So the sankhara here used are called kaya sankhara, here vachi sankhara, here mano sankhara. So that there is a classification like that as well, but it is a different type of a classification. So here, when you are using rupa vedana sanya sankhara vijnana, true that this is rupa, right? Rupa, sabda rupa, gandha rupa, rasa rupa, pottabha rupa, mano rupa. 6 types of rupa. And you call it rupa. And you call everything, all 4 of these, nama. Nama in sense which are related to the mind. So sankhara is a part related to the mind. Yes. So there are this rupa vedana, saddha vedana, gandha, rasa, sparsha, pottabha, and then the last one is mano vedana. Rupa sanya, saddha sanya, gandha sanya, rasa sanya, pottabha sanya, mano sanya. Rupa sanchetana, rupa sanchetana, saddha sanchetana, gandha, rasa, pottabha, then mano sanchetana. Like that you can say if you are referring to panchupadanaskandha. So here, this is also here, which we have used as sankhara. Kara means, we can say, processing. Processing is kara. So everything is kara. So sang has a different meaning. Sang has a meaning called raga dvesha moha, and sang has a meaning like accumulation, compiling is also a meaning for sang. So sankhara means compiling and processing. We can say something like that. So that's why chetana comes, not intention, but chetana. Chetana means, again, thana or che means chitta or mind. Thana means creation. So chetana means creation of the mind. Again, corresponds with the same meaning, sanchetana and sankhara. Again here, now sankhara. Yes, it is true, sankhara is mainly done with your mind. So, but there are sankhara purely only confined to the mind. That is called mano sankhara. These are confined to the mind. And there are another sankhara called vachi sankhara. These are also started with the mind, but this mental creation or chetana, or the processing and compilation and processing, this process gives out words in your mind or out from your mouth. So vitakka vichara, that is why vitakka and vichara becomes vachi sankhara. So you create words in your mind. That is what you put out. But that needs kaya sankhara as well in this classification. If you are following this classification, which we discussed just before, you need, if you are putting words from your mouth, then it falls under Kaya Sankhara as well. It has the Vachi Sankhara part also. It is Vitakka Vichara. So if the compilation and processing in the mind creates words or actions in your body as well, then you categorize it as Kaya Sankhara. Kaya Sankhara, because yes, it is the mind which is underlying factor, which is the main controlling unit. But through that processing and compilation, or through that sankhara, you see a difference in your body. That's why you say it's as asasa passasa or kaya sankhara. Asasa passasa are called kaya sankhara, because to open this mouth, I have to relax one set of muscles and contract one set of muscles. And to close this mouth, again the opposite or vice versa. So it is how the body works. It has pairs of muscles opposing to each other, which act in opposite fashion when processing, or when operating the body. So it's Kaya Sankhara. And Vachi Sankhara is if it creates Vitakka Vichara. And Mano Sankhara is when it creates only the mental, the consciousness about the feeling. You feel that you are living. You feel if you get pricked by a sharp pin or something, you feel the pain, and you feel in your conscious self. That is Mano Sankhara. So Vachi Sankhara is the Vitakka Vichara. So if you go back to this one, so Kaya Sankhara, Asasa Passasa, Vachi Sankhara, Vitakka Vichara, Mano Sankhara, the consciousness, or the feeling and consciousness, or we can say consciousness about the feeling. So those are the three things. And the next three, Kaya Sanchetana. Now this is a different part, because here sang means out of Raga Dvesha Moha. So Chetana with Raga Dvesha Moha. Kaya, if it is again for Kaya, then it is called Kaya Sanchetana. If it is for Vachi, the same principle here, then it is called Vachi Sanchetana. If it is for Mano, then it is called Mano Sanchetana. So that is what Chetana means. Now the intention part, the thing about the intention. So we think that we can control our mind and body according to our expectation. But expectation is actually a mirage or a deception of avidya. Now this is the most important part that you need to remember. Now that is, up until to this moment, was just or a battle with words. But this, from here onwards, it's about understanding. And this is a very important thing that you should understand. There's this, when you reach understanding, when you reach the basic understanding of Dhamma, so when you reach the basic understanding of Dhamma, you understand that this is a cause and effect phenomenon that happens. So we understood that actions or thinking the external world cannot be controlled according to expectation. We understand this. The external world cannot be cannot be controlled according to our expectation, because when somebody listens to us, when somebody listens to what we say or does not listen to what we say, it is not based on that person's understanding or that person's that person obeying us. It is because the causes are being aligned. So for this, the better example is the light bulb. For the light bulb to light up, all the causes should align. If all the causes aligned together, then the light bulb would light up when you switch it on. But if you don't switch it on, or if you switch it on but the light does not come, you get disappointed, because initially your idea was to turn the bulb on because you thought that it is according to your expectation. You can control your surrounding according to your expectation, but you cannot control your surrounding according to your expectation. It always ends up in suffering, because the nature or the characteristic of this universe is something else. So when you turn it on with the intention, without the idea that this can be controlled according to my expectation, you would accept the result, whichever it is, because you understand that it cannot be controlled according to expectation, and you would get rid of this expectation gradually. The most important part is you need to understand the concept. It is all right that you don't feel that way always, but you have to understand the concept. It is the same for the body. All the causes should work in unison or in synchronization for our body to lift our arm or to walk, to do whatever the things we want. But if we meet with an accident and our legs were broken, our hand or our arms were broken, then we would not be able to do that, however much the expectation is. So the expectation is actually the avidya deceives us with the expectation, saying that expectation is what created these actions, created these outcomes. But in reality, it is not the expectation that gave us the outcomes, but the causes getting aligned, giving out the result. It is the same for the mind. If you try to do meditation, you'd not be able to complete your meditation if you won't be able to keep your mind. Let's say you are practicing apo meditation, so you bring a bowl of water in front of you and keep it in front of you, and you are actually practicing a non-Buddhist meditation type, or you can say breathing meditation, whatever. Also you are keeping your or you are trying to focus on the breathing, and your mind goes here and there because you cannot keep it according to expectation. Expectation is to keep your mind towards the focus on the breathing, but you cannot. It goes here and there. It goes when a sound is heard outside of your house, you wander around with your mind thinking what that sound was. If the dog is barking, then you would think whether somebody has come or not. But your expectation is not to do that. Your expectation is to focus on this breathing, but it does not happen. It changes and it goes here and there. So it is the same. This small concept is what you need to understand. So you would understand that intention, though you think that you created this with your control, your expectation, but it is actually causes and effects, creating creating things, creating scenarios or processes, or a generation of this generation of this body and mind is actually a happening due to a causes and effects. This is what we explained with Paticca Samuppada, how we how the jati is occurring because of avidya, how the jati occurs at the end because of tanha, or because of rage, because of dvesha, how the jati is occurring, dvesha jati, raga jati, and moha jati. So how these things are happening because of this our or the avidya which is present in our minds. So if you understand this, then you would be able to even though when you're practicing this in day-to-day life, that means when you are thinking about it, you would feel that yes, I understand what you say, I understand the concept, but I don't feel that way. I feel that I have the control, especially when it comes to your mind, and sometimes when it comes to your body. But you have to, if you think it deeply, you would get rid of the body as well. You would see that body is actually a result of actions in our body, or the body is actually a result of many causes. But when it comes to our mind, you feel like you can control your mind. Now, when you are not mindful about anicca, you are in avidya, and the feeling of avidya is nicca sukha subha. You feel that you can control. That is, that you cannot do anything about it. Only when your eyes are open, eyes of wisdom are open, you would be able to understand what you thought up until that moment, that point was wrong. Otherwise, you would not be able to understand that. This is called chitta vipallasa. And there's this ditti vipallasa, and there's the ditti vipallasa, then sanya vipallasa, and chitta vipallasa. There are three vipallasas. Vipallasas means you feel that differently to the reality. Ditti vipallasa means you did not have this dhamma, so you did not know what is right and what is wrong, and you had that delusional conclusions of avidya with you, and you decided that the world is nicca sukha atta subha. So you tried to control. Your expectation was there, and you tried to control the world. You did whatever you can to control the external world. You killed people, you hurted, you during the sansaric journey we have all of us have done all of these things, and by killing, by hurting, by doing whatever we can to control this world. Why? We try to keep it according to our expectation, but we fail. And when our arms were broken, legs were broken, when our kidneys were failing, when we were having cancers, what we did, we tried to control somehow. Our expectation was to feel the blissfulness of this world with our eyes, with our ears, nose, tongue, body, and whatever the things that go against that were changed by us. We tried to do that, and that was very tiring, and that was very uh, suffering. There's this fear, there's this disappointment that comes with those kinds of things. So we try to control the external world based on our expectation. We try to control our bodies based on our expectation. And sometimes in our lives, we try to control our mind also, trying to become Brahmas with by practicing various kinds of meditations to become to gain dhyanas, first dhyana, second dhyana, third dhyana, fourth dhyana, and also the arupa dhyanas, so that we can control our mind to become blissful, to become to attain nibbana. So we thought that it is nibbana, but we failed, could not control it according to our expectation, and we failed, and we are still in this sansaric suffering, because expectation is not what gives us salvation. It is the understanding that expectation cannot be achieved according to the result cannot be achieved according to our expectation. Result always based on causes and effects. That is called Paticca Samuppada explanation. And we know that the effects, if all the causes get aligned, then the effect is there. So it is true sometimes when we are in avidya, we feel that this world, we can control it. But when you think deeply, when you think with wisdom, you feel that no, it is true that I lifted my hand, and I feel that because of my expectation, I lifted my hand. Not really. Your expectation was there, but it did not contribute to your lifting. It is the effort. Effort is something that is needed. Without effort, the hand would not be lifted. Effort and all the other causes. Hand working, that means working joint, working muscles, working brain, working nervous system, cardiovascular system, all the things, all the causes, including the effort, is what gave out the result, not the expectation. Even if we had the expectation or not, the difference, there would not have been any difference. With the expectation of not lifting your hand, if you put effort, the result would occur. With the expectation of lifting your hand, if you put effort, still it would lift. So it is not the effort. We do things with effort all the time. All the things that are being done are done with effort. And most of the time, when it comes to our body, when it comes to our mind, it works. Unless you have met with an accident, unless you have not met with unless you have met with a stroke, then the story would be different, and you would be in pain and suffering, because now you cannot lift your hand as you did before. You cannot walk as you did before. But this suffering is also because all this time the conclusion was given with avidya that you can do whatever with your body whenever you want. But it is not the case. You cannot have it according to expectation. Expectation is one thing, and the result or the result which you saw is from all the other things or other causes that are needed for that system to be function or system to function. So that is the understanding you need to have. So with this understanding, that is why we don't call it. So this is a very deep part that I am going to explain here. So we have discussed this until this point already, but the concept of me or myself or mind, the belonging, the idea of owning, ownership. These things are a problem because asmimana, or the idea about self, you have to understand that there is a problem with that. It is not the word or me or I or ahang in Pali. It is not the word or the different sounds that are being used in different languages to express this feeling of me. It is the underlying feeling or idea, delusional feeling that you have under that sound, under that word. You have the idea that it has the ability to be controlled according to expectation. That is the problem. Think about it. You have a wild elephant and you have a tamed elephant, and you sell this tamed elephant to another person, and that person buys this tamed elephant, and then he thinks that this tamed elephant belongs to him. What if we try to sell a wild elephant in the jungle to a person? We go to a person and says, look, this elephant who is in the sanctuary is mine. Would you like to buy it? Would the other person agree to this transaction? No, he won't. He would say whether we are crazy or not. Are you selling me a wild elephant in the jungle saying that it belongs to me? Now, if I give money, that person would not agree. But if you somehow catch that wild elephant, you don't have to tame it, you just have to sedate it or something. You just go and show this person that this elephant is mine. Would you like to buy it? Then there's a chance of him buying it. Why is that? When it is near you, or when you say that it is tamed, you are giving that person an idea, because that person is full of avidya. You are giving that person this idea that this can be controlled according to my expectation. Now, the idea he gets is this person can control this elephant according to his expectation. So, in other words, this is very important. In other words, you can say this elephant belonged to him. It is the same thing. The underlying explanation of this elephant belonged to him is this elephant can be controlled according to his expectation. That's why the wild elephant did not belong to him, and the other person knew that he was bluffing, did not go with its story. But when it comes to the visual data, this person sees this person is bringing the elephant, seems like it is tamed, so it must be his because it's tamed and it's beside him. So avidya, one person's avidya helps the other person's avidya. So this person buys the elephant thinking that this belongs to me. Now, after giving money, you think that thing that is not controlled according to expectation can be controlled according to expectation, because you have paid and now it is yours. something become yours because you think that thing can be controlled according to expectation. But in reality, it is not. You cannot control something according to expectation. So the elephant was never yours. If you can control it according to expectation, then you should not fear about anything regarding that animal. But you are afraid of that animal because it can go on out of control. Your expectation is to keep it according to your control, in your control, but it can go out of control. So you are afraid, you are in fear. You are happy that it did not go out of control. So it is the same thing. So you are deceived and you are suffering because of avidya, because of thinking that something is controlled according to expectation, when clearly you cannot have that thing according to expectation. So the idea about ownership gets you this idea about responsibility. What if that elephant goes and hits a person? Your elephant. What if a wild elephant goes and hits a person? You don't care because it's not yours. It's the same elephant. The person who is bringing to sell that elephant to you, while that process is happening, when the person is bringing the elephant to you, that elephant goes and hits a person and kills that person. Still not your problem. But as soon as you think that it is yours, it is your elephant, then that becomes a problem. Then when it hits the other person and kills the person, you are in so much fear, you are in so much responsibility to what happened, because it's your elephant. It's the same for the dog. What if your dog goes and bites another person versus a stray dog goes and bites another person? You feel the responsibility. You think that you can control it according to expectation. So see, when you grab onto things saying that it is mine, this is mine, that is mine, this also is mine, this house is also mine, that person is also mine, you are taking responsibility and you are constantly heartbroken or disappointed because you are taking something that cannot be controlled according to expectation as something that can be controlled according to expectation. That's why you are calling it mine. That's why you are getting ownership of that thing which you thought good, and because of that you are in pain. Initially you are in fear that whether you would be able to hold on to this thing because you know it deteriorates, you know it can get destroyed, can be stolen, can get some one thing or another can happen to it. So you are in fear, and when the thing really happens, when it really get deteriorated, just like we have discussed just before, you like that still frame, still picture of the movie, but it is already gone. So you are in pain. Then pain becomes suffering, lamentation, fear, and everything comes. So this is what happens when you think that everything is mine. including your eyes, pair of eyes, including your pair of arms, pair of legs. Now this becomes so deep when you come to that level. Initially, you have to go with the external things and think whether, even though you think they are yours, whether it really becomes yours. I'm not saying that the word cannot be used. If you have a house, you can use it's yours. But the underlying feeling or underlying concept of using that word is really, you think you can control it according to expectation. That's why you call it yours. That's why you don't call the other person's house, the next door person's house, it's yours, because you cannot control it. What you want to do to control it, you have to poison that other person and kill that person and get that house to yourself. Then you can control it as well. Then you would say after some time, this house is also mine. You can just say it as a fact. Factually, this house is mine. With the real idea in your mind, no, it cannot be. Not in the form that it can be controlled according to my expectation. So you are separating the me, the belonging, or the statement, or the factual thing, me or mine or belonging to me, from its feeling that it can be controlled according to my expectation. You have to separate these two. You still can use the term that it is mine, but without that feeling that you can control it according to your expectation, because that part is only giving problems. So when you have that factual conclusion or factual idea that this is mine, without that the conclusion of avidya, you would hang on to it because you are using it for your benefit. So because you need a house to stay, to get get protected from wild animals, from rain, snow, whatever it is, from weather. So, but since you know that thing that thing which belongs to you does not have any control depending on your expectation, you would not get dissatisfied, disappointed, or you would not get that feeling of suffering when things go other ways, things go out of control. You'd just be able to drop that idea that it is mine. Even though you have this idea it is yours, you would not get that feeling of pain and suffering. So this is very fine. This is very deep. I hope you understand what I am saying. This is the concept of mine. So everything is mine, but there's no me. If you think about it, your eyes are yours. You don't call your eyes me. Your body, you call it my body, not me. Your mind, you call mind also my mind, but not me. So where's the me? Everything is my house, my spouse, my children, my parents, my arms, my legs, my eyes, my body, and my mind. Where is me then? This is a problem. Where's the me? What is the part that belongs, that we call as me? So me is actually a combination of all these things. You don't have a specific point or specific thing to point out. Now this is me. No. It is actually a process of mental and physical synchronization that creates this human or a being, and we call that me. But there's no me to be pointed out. If you want to find the bicycle, as we discussed in Kaya Anupassana, you are removing all the parts to find the bicycle. You are removing the handle, brakes, cogwheels, chain, then the wheels, mudguard, frame, everything was separated and kept aside. Looking for the bicycle, but no bicycle to be seen. Where's the bicycle? I separated chains, frames, but no bicycle. Then you are rebuilding the bicycle again. This is the frame, this is the chain, this is the cogwheels, and everything are put in place, back in place. And you see a bicycle, which you did not fix. You just fixed various parts. Just like there was no bicycle, there was, in reality, it is a mirage. It is something that is shown because all the things are kept in place, in relevant places. That is how the bicycle was seen. Just like me, when you want to get this me out of the system, you just have to do the same thing. You are removing your eyes in your imagination, your ears, nose, everything is removed and seen. But there's no me. Your mind also kept aside. Where's the me? Again, put them back in place. Now the me is there. So you see what the problem with this concept of mind. So if you take your eyes as mine, you become responsible for your eyes. You become a person, individual that will get harmed and hurted because of your eyes. True that there's a physical pain attached to the eyes. That is why you have to see the dukkha vedana or suffering vedana as a sharp object. Because when there's a sharp object, what you do? You just move away from it. It just happens. You don't have to do it. When you step on a pin, your leg automatically comes up due to reflexes. Just like that, when there's pain, your body would react and your mind would react. You just don't have to have ownership for that. You don't have to say that this body is mine. For example, if you can get the control, as you can experience, you can get the control of breathing to your hands, and you can exhale and inhale with your control. But if you get it out of your control, you just think about something else. You just listen to this sermon, and breathing goes. It goes up, it goes down. You're not controlling it. It just happens. What if somebody thinks that breathing is something you have to do, something you should control? Otherwise, you die. You give this idea to this person's mind that you should breathe, otherwise you die. Then that person would not stop thinking about breathing and put all his strength and focus to breathing, because he thinks now Otherwise, he would die. So something like that happens to us. We think this body, when the dukkha vedana comes, it actually, according to causes and effects, according to the expectation, according to the not the expectation, but according to the vexation that comes, the body and the mind would react without the ownership. It would react to the, if you, let's say the Arihat wants to use the washroom, he would go to the washroom. Now we have to use these words because there's no other way to explain this. You have to understand it with wisdom somehow. He goes to the washroom and use the washroom and get rid of the vexation without the idea that it was done according to his expectation, without the idea that it was his actions, his body, or in other words, his rupa, his vedana, his sankhara, his sanya, his sankhara, or his vijnana. By his or by ownership, I meant is cannot control according to me, according to the expectation. It doesn't say that he does not use the word, this is me and this is my body, with the context of just showing the ownership in the sense the belonging. Oh, the difference is you cannot have it according to your expectation. Now you can say as a fact that it is the real word is factual. So factual statement that it is his body, and this is if I am referring to me, if it is my body, my actions is fine, without the idea that you controlled it according to your expectation, but in reality, because in reality could not. Now this is a very deep concept, but it is very important to understand this deep concept, because as when we have to go with wisdom. When you do that, you are already doing it. We are already doing it. If you are not an Arihat, you are doing it. You are thinking that these the eyes belong to me. In a way, it is a yes, it belongs to you. It's factual. As a fact, it belongs to you. But beyond that fact, you goes to extra lengths to think that this I belongs to me, with the idea that it can be controlled according to my expectation. So when something happens to these eyes, when somebody tries to harm these eyes, it becomes our responsibility, and we scream, we try to run, we try to do whatever possible to get rid of that problem. But would you do the same thing for another person's eyes? You would not. There's a difference. You would say that that person would not, you would not feel the vedana or the dukkha vedana, suffering vedana of the person, of that person, but you would feel it with when somebody is harming your eyes. The original response is, when it comes to an Arihat, let's go to Moggallana Thero. He was beaten up to death by a bunch of thieves. So initially, he also don't like this dukkha vedana, suffering vedana. So he tried to escape from that moment twice. But when the third time comes, he escaped because he does not like the dukkha vedana. Just like it is the natural response. Just like we breathe, we don't like the dukkha vedana. If we do not breathe, then the dukkha vedana comes. So we start inhaling and exhaling. It becomes a natural part of us. Just like that, for a arihat, it becomes a natural part for them to get rid of the physical pain. They are inhaling also, exhaling also because of that. So it happened. So in the third time, he did not do it, because if you know that these things cannot be controlled according to expectation, and you have completed that understanding, and you see when this is inevitable, and you don't have the ownership of your body and mind, don't own it like we own, thinking that we are responsible for it. We are the people who you are in control according to our expectation. We try to scream and do whatever possible to get rid of that occasion. But he, the Arihat Muggallana Thero, just stayed until the people killed him, because he does not have any ownership of what he owns. He owns means, in factually he owns. Oh, as a fact, he owns. So this is the difference. So I explain this because you don't have to do that. Getting rid of the ownership of your eyes and ears and everything right now. Just have to start with the external things. You have to see the problem. When that happens, your wisdom will develop. That's why then you would be able to see the gradual, deep concepts where eyes and ears and body also has the same exact phenomenon, and you would be able to understand it by experiencing it with external things. So you have two houses. See how burning it would be to own two, to control two, to have responsibility for two. You have two dogs. Again, the same thing. You have more sankhara dukkha, you have more viparinama dukkha, you have more dukkha dukkha, and you would be in pain and suffering. What if you get rid of one? You just donate it to somebody. Just get rid of one dog and give it to another person. Now, when that dog goes and bites another person, or do something inappropriate, you don't feel ashamed, you don't feel angry, you don't feel that as a problem of yours. But the dog which belongs to you, that's a different story. You have to have his vaccines correct, food at the correct time. You have to give all the necessary things, and when something goes wrong, suffering, pain would come. So mine, that's why it is said, it is not suitable to say it as mine with that expression, with that wrong conclusion. You can say it's mine, but it's factual. But when it goes to the idea that you can control it according to expectation, then that's problematic. Then you see that you would say it is mine, it is my ball, it is my robes, but without the idea that these things can be controlled according to my expectation. So this is what anicca is. When you see anicca, avidya is gone. When avidya is gone, tanha is gone. When tanha is gone, suffering, the cause for suffering is gone, thus the suffering is gone. So this is what you need to understand. So when you see that you should, it is not suitable to take this as me or mind, you would see why this is not suitable to take it as me. Me in the sense a soul or a valuable thing that is controlled according to the expectation. There's nothing like that called me. You can use the me to call this panchaskandha, 5 aggregates, because you have to call it something. You have to express feel things to other people. So you have to use the language. Yes, that's when you use it. But without the idea that it is nature, you have to get rid of this nature, because it is actually happening according to the Paticca Samuppada system, not because it's nature. So then you would understand that this is not suitable to be called me, this is not suitable to be called mine, and there's nothing valuable here that is permanent, that goes from this body to that body, or everlasting. That is what we tried to understand with the Viparinama nature just before, where we tried to explain it with the flame. So there's no constant thing to be called me or mine as well. It just changes, just like a film, as correctly explained here before in the chat. So this is the concept of me, mine, and myself, or my soul, valuable, important thing. So there's nothing like that. So this is what I wanted to explain today. Hope now the Sankhara, now these things has to come in place. Everything has to come in place to get the perfect understanding, and it might take time, and you have to apply this not to the finest part of your mind or body. You just apply it to the external world and see the results, and then you would be able to apply it to the finer parts of your body and mind, because it is the avidya is more dense when it comes to your mind and body, but it is less dense when it is when you put it into the outside world. When the avidya is the level of avidya is reducing, or the denseness of it is changing to a better side, you would be able to see through the problem, to see through avidya and see the reality. So it is a journey, it's a pathway that you have to follow. It is not something that can be achieved in a single day. You have to follow it. You have to ask questions again if there are problems, because then this same thing would come in a different way that you might understand. So I hope you understand this concept of me is a problem, mine is a problem, and my soul, or a constant valuable thing, nicho duo aviparinama dhammo. That was what explained as my atma, atta, or a constantly, or a one big piece, one big unit kind of a feeling. So that is also wrong. So everything of these things which are conclusions of avidya are actually wrong. So now there's a very important, I'll give you a thing to think about. Now this is also a bit deep, but try to, I'll tell it to you. So if you have any problems about it, you can think about it and ask in the next session. So there's a person in front of you, seated in front of you, and he's looking at, or he or she is looking at you. and you close your eyes, and you are given a sedative. And when you open your eyes, you see yourself. And when you lift your arm, the person in front of you lifts his or her arm. When you want to hear, you hear from that person's ears. You see from that person's eyes. That's why you saw yourself in front of you. When you want to talk, that person's mouth moves and that person's voice comes out. And you talk. If you want to walk, you use that person's body and walk. If that's the case, would you call you yourself or that other person is you? I think the question is clear. So the other person is the person, or you are controlling that other person. Would you call yourself you or the other person you? I'll make it easier. You forget in the process when the sedation was happening, you forgot your old image, your old self. So you don't know how you looked like before. When you open your eyes, you see a stranger in front of you now, because you don't know your previous form, shape. You see a stranger in front of you. When you talk, the same thing happens. When you walk, the other person's body walks. When you think, you feel like that person is thinking. So would you call that person you? You definitely call that you. And you would ask, who is this stranger in front of me? Because you don't have any memory. So with that, I hope you would understand that the concept of me or mine comes with the control. You had your expectation, and with that expectation, you try to control, and you control the other body, so you call that yours. We are calling this body ours because this can be controlled according to expectation. That's at least what we think with avidya, and that is wrong. And that understanding that is wrong itself would reduce this ideology about me, myself, and mine. When that is gone, fully gone, because when that understanding is fully completed, the mana or the asmi mana in this case would be gone. But you would still call this me and myself and mine, but not with that intention or with that wrong conclusion. It is just to address, just to say people things, because you have to say it is mine. Otherwise, the people would think we are crazy. Because of that, we would use it, but not with that wrong intention, wrong conclusions. I hope that you have to think about that a lot, and you have to ask questions about these things in the next session. And I hope you understand this concept. If you have any questions, we can go through a few. Otherwise, we can end the session with that. I think we have covered all the questions which were posted last week as well. If not, please state that as well. If we have time for another small question, then we can. Otherwise, we'll move that question to the next week. Anyway, it is better if you can inform me whether I have missed any questions.
Thank you very much, Venerable Thero, for that explanation and the discussion. And as you mentioned, maybe we can take one question, if at all, unless we've missed anything, since we also have to, in a short while, move on to the Anumodana as well. I think we can probably conclude the session with a short Anumodana and take any other questions. We may have received something. There is a question.
If I meditate like this every moment or as many times as possible, is this me practicing one of the Buddha's meditations? If I meditate like this, what do you mean by like this every moment? If that was said.
I'm assuming, Thero, that this is with regard to the identification of self, but maybe we can let her give an explanation as to, that's what I understood, but that's an assumption again. If it's possible, if you could kindly just elaborate on what you mean as to practice like this, Thero should be able to give you a better explanation.
To reflect on this perspective you taught me at every moment. We discussed right now or something? Yeah. So yes, actually, it is actually practicing meditation. It is how you. It is actually seeing it. Now, anicca, dukkha, anatta. You can is actually again anicca means me it is not suitable to take as me. Dukkha is it is not suitable to take as mine. Anatta means it is not there's no soul or atta. Atta means atma. There's no atma or nitya sukha atta or we say there's no one big unit. So that just the thing we discussed. One big unit that is not subjected to viparinama and that is not subjected to change. There's no something very valuable. There's nothing like that. So that is anatta. There's no essence, something essential like the concept of soul, which cannot be destroyed, which goes from one place to another. In reality, we understand it just not last even 1 second, just dies and then generates because of causes. So this anicca is again not suitable to take as me, because it's actually a Paticca Samuppada mechanism. So that's why you should not take it. It is not suitable to take it as me. Why is it not suitable to take it as mine? Because it's dukkha. Because if you take it as mine, it's always a suffering thing. It's just like hugging a flame, hugging a fire. As soon as you take it as mine, it becomes a fire. You hug the fire. There are fires all around this world. Everything, in fact, everything is a fire. Our eyes, external images are fires. Our ears and external sounds, and the list goes on. Nose and smells, tongue and tastes, and body and touches, mind and thoughts, all are fires. As soon as you grab onto these fires, you get burnt. That's why the dukkha, it is not suitable to take it as mine. That is the idea of dukkha. Anicca is not suitable to take it as me. Dukkha is not suitable to take it as mine. Anatta is there's no constant one single unit called soul that is valuable and constant or impermanent or permanent. Sorry, permanent. So that is the idea. So if you practice this in this aspect, again you are practicing anicca dukkha anatta. Again you are practicing the Arya Dhamma. Again you are doing the Buddhist meditation. If you practice anicca dukkha anatta, you are without knowing you are practicing actually this. And if you practice this without knowing you are actually practicing anicca dukkha anatta. It goes vice versa. I hope that explains that answers your question. Yeah.
Thero, may I kindly add a small component maybe to that particular reflection or rather ask point? Because in the old context, the practice was there, me, mine, or not, or saying it is not me, it is not mine, etc., as sort of a chanting or sort of a statement. Now, if you have to differentiate between doing that versus seeing it through the eyes of Dhamma and seeing that this is a cause and the effect, etc., and for that fact, not to see it as mine and so on. So maybe it might be good to slightly, I'm not saying that the question was asked with that context, but maybe good to clarify the two as two separate items and just to mention it, just a suggestion there.
Yes, sure. So if you have already done that kind of a meditation, I think it is better to stick on to anicca dukkha anatta and think about these things as well deeply. And you'd anyway, if you follow anicca, you would anyway get this understanding. If you follow dukkha, you'd anyway get this understanding that it is not suitable to take as mine. And if you get this idea of anatta that we discussed during the first phase of the session, where we tried to understand how the flame, referring to the flame, how this person is created as a cause, as a series of things that are happening because of causes and effects. So if you get this understanding of anicca dukkha anatta, that means you are understanding the same thing when regards to me, myself, and this thing. So it's the same thing. So it is most important part is you just straight away don't go for just trying it in the moment thing, practicing it in the every moment. You just try to understand this and go deeper in the concept. And when you do that, you'd start to see it in different points in your life. In a day, you would see it 2 or 3 times. And when you practice, in the next day, you would see it more than that. And when a month or a year goes by, you would see it more frequently. The only thing you have to do is you have to go in deep and try to understand the concept. You straight away don't go and apply this and try to meditate, because what you would be doing is actually what you have practiced so far, the old meditation technique, where you try to concentrate on this and try to apply it and concentrate or focus on this mindset and try to develop this mindset throughout the day. That is not how this happens. It comes automatically when the understanding fulfills. When the understanding is completed, that mindset comes automatically. Then you can give a little push and little help and try to see it frequently, a little force to that. But you should not do that initially. That you can do it initially if you have the understanding. But if you have a lacking in the understanding, what you should do is you should go and whenever you get a free time, you have to go deep and think about it more and more and try to understand the concept more. Because when you understand the concept, it would come back originally when the things are not as understood, or when the things are coming with avidya, the wisdom would come and help and sort that thing out, and you would be very happy that I could find this problem in my life, that I was thinking of avidya, and the wisdom was what saved me. And these instances where the wisdom saves you would start occurring more and more in your day, and that would become a frequent thing. Now it would happen frequently, more frequently, and that would be the meditation. So thinking deeply itself is the meditation. Don't get to the idea that yogi meditation is always about focusing on something for the for a single day, for the same thing, same pattern. Everything is thought in the same pattern, and you are trying to build up this concentration. But samadhi is not concentration. That is a yogi meditation. It is not what we practice. What we practice is wisdom. Wisdom itself creates a samadhi. So with wisdom, so what you're doing with wisdom is whenever the time, when whatever, when you get a free time, at that free time, you'd start thinking more deeply about these concepts and apply these especially to the external things where the avidya is less, and try to work your way back into the deeper concepts, deeper body and mind, and try to apply these to external simple things initially, and try to sort out these things one by one. Your meditation does not have to be constant or uniform. It should and it can go here and there, but you have to have a frame, and that frame is you have to go within with alobha dvesa moha or kusala mula level, without going to raga dvesa moha. You have to go with the with this boundaries, where the boundary should be anicca dukkha anatta. With that idea, you can go from this world to the end of this universe as well. That does not matter. You can think. Your what do you call the spectrum of thinking is so wide. You can go. You have the space to go all the way, but don't don't exceed these boundaries, where the boundaries are anicca dukkha anatta, and think within that boundary. But otherwise, you can go in all directions. I hope you understand.
Thank you very much, Thero, for that clarification. And I think with that, we'll close the session for the day with a short Anumodana. So I kindly invite Dhammadassi Thero to conduct the Anumodana on behalf of all of us. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
So today we discussed a most important but most deep concept of Arya Dhamma. And we are lucky to be born in an era where this magnificent Dhamma is there without any impurities. And we are fortunate, and we have done all the necessary things. We have created all the necessary causes for this Dhamma to be heard. And we have been able to listen to that Dhamma for 2 hours, more than 2 hours. And with that also we have created and generated immeasurable amounts of meritorious deeds. All the meritorious deeds, meritorious power which we have gathered today may help us to complete the rest of the pathway, completing the understanding about the reality of the world, ultimately attaining the supreme bliss of Nibbana. accept this blessing with the sadhukara.
Sadhu, sadhu,
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
And also, let us transfer this meritorious power to all the people that helped us achieve this state, achieve this life, especially the deceased relations of us, fathers, mothers, and also the people who are around us, helping us, teachers, doctors, and also people gave us jobs, who constructed our houses and workplaces, people who are around us, spouses, children, and also people who constructed these temples, who constructed the infrastructure, and also these platforms that we use to deliver this Dhamma, message of Dhamma, and the people who are behind these discussions, making it possible for us to have a peaceful discussion, and also the sentient beings that were hurted by us during the samsaric journey without knowing the reality, thinking that owning them is the better thing to do for gratification. Let us remind them as well, and also all the devas and brahmas in all the 6 realms of gods and 20 planes of Brahma, and all the sentient beings in the universe as well. And let us transfer this meritorious power to them. If they are in miserable places, may they refrain from doing sins. May they replace those sins with meritorious deeds, and may they lead happy lives, ultimately understanding the reality of the world, attaining the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Transfer this meritorious power to them with metta and kindness with the sadhukara.
sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
And we'll be ending
Sadhu,
this
sadhu, sadhu.
Dhamma discussion with a blessing with the Pali stanza. Abhivadana Siddhissa Niccang Vaddhapachayano Chattaro Dhamma Vaddanti Ayuvanno Sukham Balang Ayurarogya Sampatti Sagga Sampatti Mevacha Ato Nibbana Sampatti Minate Samicchatu. May everyone attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana.
Thank you very much, Thero, for your time and for taking the time to also to conduct the Anumodana. And to those who have joined with us for the questions that are posters as well as for the questions that was posted previously. Thank you very much. And also we'd like to remind that there will be an Anumodana conducted in about 15 minutes time from now for those who have taken part in other meritorious activities as well. Others are welcome to join if they wish so. It will be the same link. It will be starting in 15 minutes time. With that, Theruvan Saranai to all. Theruvan Saranai Appe Hamdulillah.
Theruvan Saranai.
Saranai.
Theruvan Saranai everyone.
Saranai.